Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a senior and I'm a member of NEHS. And we're doing interviews for English teachers, and I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Tugwell here.
Hey, how are you? Well remembered. That is my name. I'm English 3 teacher this year. I've been in the English department for over a decade now because I'm super old. I also teach mythology and creative writing.
Don't forget the esports.
Oh yeah, and esports, but that's not really got anything to do with reading and writing. Yeah, I am doing that as well though. It's true. Okay, so I suppose I should give you some backstory because I was really bad at reading when I was in elementary school. It's hard. You have to stay focused on one thing. I had to stay still, which is hard and difficult with all of my focus issues. So I was bad at it. And then a dad of a friend of mine introduced me to comic books.
I love comic books.
They were so bright and colorful, and they were about stuff I cared about. And suddenly, reading went from being something I hated to something that I found really quite easy. And I had some cool English teachers who would allow me to read graphic novels instead of regular books when I was very young. I was like 8 or 9 at the time. And soon I went from reading nothing to reading a lot. So books I remember reading first were Captain America, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Any comic book I could get my hand on, I was reading for so long. The first real book I remember reading is probably Harry Potter because I was living in Britain. It was huge. It was even bigger than it was here.
Yeah, I feel like Harry Potter was huge everywhere.
Yeah, it was massive. And that came out in the late 90s, which was right about when I was like 8 or 9 and just starting getting into reading. So yeah, that's probably the first book I remember reading, proper book anyway.
Okay.
Oh, probably really late, honestly. Reading was a hobby for me when I got to high school, right? I was reading pretty big books at that point. But I didn't consider it a profession. I wanted to be a computer programmer when I was in high school.
Why didn't you?
Because I got to college and realized very quickly that I did not enjoy it. It was a lot of people sitting behind a desk and not talking to them. And don't get me wrong, that's what works for a lot of people. For me, I'm like, nah, that's not gonna function well. And so I stopped doing that in college, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And one of my friends was like, dude, you read all the time. Why don't you just be an English major? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And I went and took some English classes, and then accidentally took some education classes, and then I just sort of ended up here. And that's okay. I'm very happy with where I ended up.
Well, you can thank that friend.
Yeah. Well, he knows, I think. I think. I'm not guaranteeing. I think he knows. Okay. I think he knows. That's a good question. I don't know. I want people to love reading and writing as much as I do. I try and encourage that. Stories are important parts of our culture. We can't function without stories. Every culture in the history of the world has a huge tapestry of crazy stories that matter a whole lot to those people. And reading those and studying those, you get to understand more about the people. You get to understand more about culture. And it just makes you better at everything. I mean, reading's just awesome.
So you just share stories about it?
Yeah, sharing stories is literally one of the most important things you can do. It's what we should do. It's all the time, as often as we can.
How would you get back to the world through teaching?
Through teaching? I mean, same question, really. I just hope that when you leave my class, that you enjoy reading and writing and stories a little bit more than you did in the past. Maybe I told you a story that sticks with you or something like that. And that is what I hope happens.
That one time you lied to us in class?
Oh, yeah. That's more than once. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, stuff like that is a really good way of showing how powerful a story can be and how well people believe it.
Yeah.
All right. I would argue that reading is the only discipline that we teach that will make you better at every other discipline. I'm going to call out math because and Hamrick can yell at me later. But knowing math doesn't make you better at everything else. It makes you better at some other things, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you need
right?
to be able to read to do everything.
But you need to be able to read to do everything. And no matter what you're reading, you're going to get better. The cool thing about reading is once you start reading, even if it's something like comic books, like I did, you get better at reading. And once you get better at reading, you get better at everything that you're reading about. So you can read about literally whatever you want, and you can get better at it. And you can become a fount of useful or useless information, whichever you prefer. I like useless because it's more fun to know really weird and strange
fun
stuff.
To learn random stuff.
Yeah, I like being able to win a quiz and have no other useful skills. But reading, no matter what you're reading about, you're going to learn something. So reading is just an essential core thing that everyone should be doing all the time, as often as you can, because it will make you just better.
Yeah, it'll just make you like better, like overall.
Yeah, at literally everything. Everything. Was that English major enough?
Yes, very.
Yes. Well, it's weird. I don't know. I wasn't in NEHS. My school didn't have it. I'm thrilled that we're getting it here again, because it's going to give you another opportunity to, yes, read and write, but I think more importantly, it's going to give you the opportunity to share what you're reading and what you're writing with other people.
Yeah, and what we do.
Yeah, and that is, I think, the part that I would be excited about as a high school student. Like, I would write like poems, and my poems suck, but I'm terrible at poetry. Any of my creative writing kids will tell you that. But I liked writing like stories and poetry, but I'd never have anyone to share them with, so they would just sort of sit in my journal with My Chemical Romance lyrics scribbled on the front, and that would be it.
To share them, though.
Yeah, exactly. And now you have the opportunity to share them, and you can get some constructive criticism, not just from teachers, but from like peers as well. Like, hey, yeah, I actually really like this. It's cool. Yeah. That's going to mean a lot, and it's going to make you write more, which again is going to be good. It's going to be fun.
Hi, my name is Miss Beegler Osborne. I teach AP Lit and dual credit Lit and Lang.
Hi, I'm Isabella. I'm a junior at Insight and I'm part of the Win Crew. And today I'm so excited to be interviewing so far my favorite English teacher. So we're just going to ask you a few questions.
So I've always been really big into reading because my parents read a lot of picture books to us when we were little. And so some of the first books I remember reading are the Berenstain Bears classics, of course, Dr. Seuss. And I have an older brother, and so I always thought that when he was reading books for his classes that he was assigned, I was competitive, and so I wanted to read the same books that he did. So I started reading some classics pretty early on. One of my early favorites was Anne of Green Gables. I also really liked reading some Charles Dickens novels as well. So Great Expectations is a good entry point into it. And so I started reading and discovered that I just love the characters and stories. I had really fantastic English teachers in high school that inspired me. And so it just became, I think, a really logical career move for me because I felt like there was nothing that I would rather do than read and talk about lit all day. And I feel like the kids in my class definitely know that.
That's so great. That's so cool. On that same train of thought, what would you say is your favorite book?
I think my favorite book to teach, because I don't know if I can pick just one book. It's a hard question to answer, but my favorite book to teach is The Great Gatsby. One of my favorite plays to teach is The Crucible. I also really like to do classics as well because I like to surprise kids with what they're able to learn and challenge themselves. So I sometimes will do graphic novels, and so one of my favorite graphic novels is The Arrival by Sean Tan because there's literally no words, so it all is student analysis. So I enjoy teaching a bunch of different stuff. It just depends on what is in the actual class and what materials I have. So everyone at our school honestly has really impressed me with their abilities and how much they want to push themselves to grow. And I think that's something that's really special that I've noticed about the kids at Insight and Holmes is that even though you guys may not come in with the top skills, I think that you guys show me the most growth because you guys have the most passion. And so, even if you don't feel like you're the best writer or you always get 100% of everything that we're doing in class, I think that you guys push yourselves the most, which is really what it's about to be an authentic reader and writer, is that growth and that learning that you're doing. And I love that you guys, especially, really show growth in helping each other. And the special part about the National English Honor Society is that you guys are willing to tutor and help other students. And so I think that makes everyone at our school stand out, is that it's not just a selfish growth that we have, but it's more about what do we want to help the entire student population and our entire school. And that's something that I can't say that I've seen at a lot of other places.
That's really beautiful. Just to finish off, and something a little bit more sentimental, I guess, would be what are some words that you would have for your colleagues and how they have like had that impact on the students?
I think the people I've seen at this school, they have really close relationships with the students, and I've never seen students who feel as personally attached to teachers. I've never had as many fun conversations with students that I have here because students are just so interested in what we're doing and our interests. I've never been asked so many times, what is your favorite book? And like, what do you like to do? And how was your weekend, miss? And so, you know what? I hope that for the future, you guys keep that perspective and that zest and that zeal that you guys often carry in life because it makes you all very unique.
Hello, this is my NEHS interview with my English teacher. I'm Sofia Hernandez, CEO of Academy Board.
I'm Michael White. I'm the English 2 and English 2 Advanced teacher for Insight and Holmes. First book I remember reading, it's a series of books. I remember in my first grade, maybe kindergarten, I don't know, but they were called Encyclopedia Brown. I don't know if they're still around or not, but they were books about a kid who was always investigating. It was like mystery stories, and every story they would give you just enough clues to where you could figure it out yourself if you were trying. So that before you got to the end of the book, the whole point was for you to have solved the mystery and figured out who did it, who done it.
That's a cool concept.
It was pretty cool.
Do you read mystery now? Like, is that your favorite genre now?
No. I read everything, but no, I'm for like guilty pleasure reading, not academic reading. I'm a huge sci-fi fantasy nerd, so I'm usually reading sci-fi fantasy stuff. I was in the Army, and when I was in the Army, I was in intelligence, and my job would be the last several years I was in a unit that did a lot of tactical operations, and my job was to educate them on the enemy. So I'd have to go and research all this stuff and put presentations together, get the team into a room right before they went out to do their thing, and brief them on everything from history and culture of the place they were going to weapons that the enemies might use and what to expect, the weather, everything. So teaching was always kind of there. And then I'd always been a reader, so I like to read a lot. So after the military, I knew I wanted to go to college, so I had to sit down and figure out what I wanted to do. So teaching English just sort of felt like a fit.
How was the transition from soldiers to like sophomore students?
Yeah, I will say my time in the Army was actually pretty good. I kind of, I missed both ends of the Iraq wars. I came in after the first one and got out right before we went back in for the second one. So most of my operations were Kosovo, Bosnia, peacekeeping, sort of things. So that my Army time was not too rough.
Yeah.
Teaching, whew, that's another story.
Okay.
Well, mainly through teaching.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with teaching, and maybe this changes if you could ever like retire, is you don't have a lot of time to actually write. That's sort of the paradox of being an English teacher. I do get to write a little bit. I'm currently working on some role-playing game books with a local company. But for the most part, personal writing is out the window. I just don't have the time for it. So I like to picture myself retiring one day, and then I'll put out my fabulous novel that will change the world. But for now, just teaching. You guys got to go forth and do great things.
Could I get your autograph before I graduate? So
Possibly. Well, I'm going to get nerdy on this one. I kind of talk to my classes about this often.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
To me, it's the last bit of magic in the world that you can put black marks on a piece of paper and interpret those black marks. And in that interpretation, relive somebody else's experiences, understand another time period. The fact that what language is and what language does, I think we take it for granted. It's kind of like a stars in the sky sort of thing. Because we see them all the time, they mean very little to us. But just to think about the fact that you can write and somebody can pick up that thing and read it and picture imagery, picture your experience, understand your point of view, that's pretty crazy, pretty cool. I think that the world, everything that's happened in the past, there are only two ways that we get at it, through archaeology and through the written record. That's it. And archaeology is cool, definitely has its place. But once people started writing and we can discover that writing, it's a whole nother level of understanding of the more you realize like how similar we are as humans throughout all of human history, it brings us together as a species in a way that I don't think anything else can. So I think it's important. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I feel that now, especially during our poetry unit in AP Lang, it's really interesting because some of these are like super old like poems, and it still relates to how our life is now, like today. And it's just like it's crazy how you can see the similarities of like even through the transit of time.
I remember being in high school and realizing, like with Shakespeare stories, even they were the same as us. Everything was the same. We talk a little different, we dress a little different, but all the petty grievances, all the big ideas, they were all the same. Being a human, being a person, waking up every day, you had the same things that you worried about, that you look forward to. I just feel like hundreds of years, thousands of years, we don't really change that much. Yes, so those of you getting into NEHS, it's exciting because, you know, the charter's back at this school, but bigger than that, you guys are sort of the future. You got to carry this mantle of English language literature, and you're like the modern day wizards. You're doing the research, you're finding the cool things, you're experiencing life and reflecting on it for other people to learn from. So it's like the torch is lit. You got to carry it forward, and you're carrying it into a scary place with lots of AI writing and stuff coming into it all. You got to beat the robots. Got to.
Yeah, you got to.